Hey there, boys and girls. Today we are going to be learning about expanded form, and especially of decimals. You may have learned some about what expanded form is in the past, but today we're extending that knowledge and we're moving into the decimal section of numbers. Now, I'm going to go ahead, first of all, and I'm going to just remember what the different place values are and what they actually represent for numbers. So if I have a number that is 1, 2, 3, 4 digits, then I have a decimal, and then 1, 2, 3 digits afterward. Each of these places right here indicate a specific value compared to the ones place right here. Now we know this is the ones place right here because we've already learned that I have a decimal point right here. The decimal point means that the ones place is directly in front of it. So what is the value? I don't have any numbers here, but if I were to think to myself, I'm like, okay, this is worth a value of 1 because it's the ones place. Now this place value right here is indicated to have a value of 10. Now, why do you think I wrote a 10 and not a 1 there? Well, because I'm not thinking about the digits that go in here. I'm thinking about how these numbers are compared to the ones place right here. This place value right here is 10 times larger than this place value right here. So I'm going to write a 10 there because I can have groups of numbers that are 10 times larger than whatever's in the ones place right here. Now this place value over here, we know it's 100 times larger than what the ones place is. So any digits I put in this place value, I know it's 100 times larger than whatever's in this place value over here. And then this place value right here, of course, is 1,000 times larger than what I would put in the ones place right there. Now we've already kind of sort of looked at the decimals in a different video. If you haven't seen that video, I suggest you go watch the standard form video before moving on with the expanded form video here. So while doing so, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to compare these place values with the ones place as well. So I took these numbers, I compared it to the ones place. Now I'm going to take these places and compare it with the ones place. Now this one is 1/10 smaller than this place value right here. So this is 1/10 the size of this number right here. And this one over here is 1/100th the size when we compare it to the ones place. And this number over here is 1/1000th the size when we compare it to the ones place right here. So basically they're all getting their values because they're being compared to the ones place right here. This value is 10 times larger, this value is 100 times larger, this value is 1,000 times larger. This is 1/10th the size, this is 1/100th the size, this is 1/1000th the size of the numbers. So how does this, knowing this, help us out with expanded form? Well, let's start simply here. I have the number 47, okay? Very, very simple number. Go ahead and think about which one is in the ones place. Which digit is in the ones place? If you said the 7 was in the ones place, you're absolutely correct. So now when we do expanded form of numbers, what we're doing is we're taking the digits and we're thinking about what their values actually mean and represent. Because this 4 right here, we all know is not just a 4. We know that this 4 is actually worth 40. And the 7, well, it is indeed worth just 7 because it's in the ones place. So now I've expanded the number 47 into a 40 and a 7. Did you hear that? 47, 47. So you can kind of sort of see how I'm separating these out. And if I were to take 40 plus 7, I'd get back to the 47 right here. Now, this is just thinking about the values of what these digits are actually worth. Now, how did I get that 40 in the first spot? Now, what I did was I took 4 groups of 10. What's 4 times 10? We know that 4 times 10 is 40. We know that 4 groups of 10 is the same thing as 40. And so what about this one? We see that that's a 7. That all that means is I have 7 groups of 1s. 7 groups of 1s. So here, if I were to take 4 groups of 10s and add it to 7 groups of 1s, I know I'd get back up here to the 47. This is the expanded form of numbers. I'm going to go ahead and write parentheses around. We've already learned about parentheses and order of operations previously. So we can see here now that the 4 should go right here at this value right here. 4 times 10. And we said the 7 should go right here at this value right here, 7 times 1. So 47, we've gone ahead and we've looked at the values of the numbers. These are the values. The 4 is actually worth 40, and the 7 is actually worth 7. And then we expanded them further to indicate how they lie on our number line when we're comparing them to the ones place. So 4 groups of 10, 4 times 10, plus 7 groups of 1, 7 times 1. Now, let's take this a step further and let's start thinking about some decimals. We're going to do the exact same thing. Let's go ahead and take the number 3.24. So now I can go ahead and I can use this chart to help me out as much as I can. So the value of the 3 is actually 3. It's like $3. I'd love to have $3 right now. I can go buy myself a soda. So $3 right here. The value of it is 3 groups of 1. See the ones place right there? The ones place right, see, it's right in front of the decimal, right in front of the decimal. So it's 3 groups of 1, technically. Now, I'm going to write my parentheses around that, and then I'm going to take a look at this 2 right here. Now, is that actually worth $2? No, it's not as much as this one. It's less. So that means that it's 1/10. Whatever digits here is 1/10 the size of what should be in the ones place. So I have 2 groups of 1/10. If I were to take 2 groups of 1/10 and put it this way, it would equal the 2 right there in the 10th spot. And then finally, what do you think I'm going to do with that 4? I'm going to take 4 groups, because it's not actually worth 4, it's worth 4 hundredths. 4 hundredths. So I take 4 groups of the hundredths. So now I have my expanded form all figured out of decimals. Now, some kids might think, oh, I know what to do. This is just 3 plus 0.2 plus 0.04. Well, those are the values of the numbers. They're not the expanded form of the numbers. There's a big difference. When I'm thinking about the expanded form, I'm thinking about how the digits are comparing to the ones place right here. I'm not just thinking about how much they're worth. Yes, they are worth this much. This is their values, but the expanded form takes the groups of the numbers and thinks about how they lie on the number line like this. Let's go ahead and try one more. I want you to be thinking about what this is going to look like. I'm going to take the number 52.364. 52 and 364 thousandths. Gosh, what would this look like in expanded form? Think about that for a minute. Well, let's go ahead. We can go ahead and start with the largest value here. The largest value here is this 5, but that's not actually a 5. It's not like a $5 bill. It's actually worth a lot more, right? It's as if I had 5 groups of $10 bills. 5 groups of $10 bills. And then I can combine that with my next digit, which is a 2. This is like having 2 groups of $1 bills, 2 groups of $1 bills. Do you see how I'm just going down the line here? I found out where the place value was because I know that that was the ones place. I figured out the 5 is actually a 50, and that's also the same thing as 5 groups of 10. Then, I've got a 3 here, but I know it's not a whole number. I know it's smaller than the decimal. Look, right up here, 1/10. So I would have this be 3 groups of 1/10. And then I'd have the 6 here. It's in this place value right here. So I would have 6 groups of 1/100ths, that TH in there. And then finally I have the 4 here. And that would of course be, I see it's 1, 2, 3 numbers away from the decimal. So 1, 2, 3 numbers away from the decimal, it's worth 1/1000th. So if I had 4 groups of 1/1000th, the size. So now I've taken this number right here and I've written it now in expanded form. I've taken it all out and I've expanded it as far as I can go to see all the groups of the values that I have. Now, some kids might say to me, Mrs. Matson, what happens if there isn't a value in a number? And sometimes that'll happen. Let's see what happens if I have no value in a number. Let's say I have 3.07. 3.07. So now I know that this is the ones place right here because it's right in front of the decimal. So that's just like having 3 groups of $1 bills, 3 groups of 1. Now there's no value right here. So there's 2 things that I could do. And you get to pick whichever one you want to do. If you want to go ahead, well, let me go ahead and write the second way over here so that you can see both ways at the same time. So the first way you can do, if there's no value there, you don't have to show it. If there's a 0 in that place value, you don't have to show it. And you can just skip right over to the 7. So I would go to 7 groups of. Now I need to be careful. I need to be very, very careful because it's not right after the ones place right here. I can use my chart up here, and if you want to make notes and copy down and pause this video and make notes about what this chart is, you can go ahead and do so. So I know that this 7 is 1, 2 places after that decimal point. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go 1, 2 places after that decimal point. That's 1/100th. So it's times 1/100th. Now the second way, some kids really like to make sure that they have all the digits represented. So a second way that some kids like to do is they could have 0 groups of 1/10, because the 0 is in the 10th spot, the spot right after the decimal. So they can put 0 groups of 1/10, because 0 groups of something is still 0. And then they can finish out by doing the 7 groups of 1/100th. Some kids really like to make sure that they have all of the values written out, all of the digits represented appropriately, and some kids can go ahead and just only include the numbers that have the values. You go ahead and do whatever you feel is best for you. If you like making sure you have all the values represented, you go ahead and do so. If you see that a number does not have any value and you choose not to include it, you have to be very careful about what numbers of groups of based upon this number chart right here, this number line right here, talking about the values of the numbers are.